Looking down on the pit lane at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's round 8 of the VP Racing SportsCar Challenge Series from north of the border, just outside Toronto, Canada. Race 2 of 2 on the weekend, and there is weather in the area, and it could play an important part in how this race turns out. We talk about just being east of Toronto. What a great racetrack. Since 1961, they've raced here. High speed, high consequence. If you get off here, you could have a big problem. Big time elevation change and big speed, one of the fastest racetracks that these drivers will see all season long. Turn 5, the slowest corner on the racetrack. Turn 1 and 2 and 4 are probably the fastest. You can get a pass done at turn 8. You can even get one done at turn 10, but it's about having a good handling race car around this 10-turn circuit that will get the job done for you. If you don't have one, you are going to have a miserable day, that is for sure. Brian Till, Jeremy Shaw with you, and you look out over the countryside and you can see back to the southwest those rain showers on the horizon and some raindrops on the lenses of the cameras right now. So trying to get this one in before Mother Nature has a say, and the dryers out on the racetrack as well. Before we get to race number 2, though, let's take a look back at race number 1. We came into the weekend, and Jagger Jones had been on a 4-race win tear. He started outside the front row in that black number 87, Stephen Agakani on the pole, but from the get-go, Jagger Jones wanted it to be known that he was here to play, and so did Josh Green. Look at him towards that stage competition Mercedes. He gets past Luca Mars. Great battles in GSX all day long, and they continued that back and forth, switching of positions, good, clean racing. Jagger Jones, meanwhile, out in front and continued to extend his lead, but it wasn't without a little bit of drama. Coming into Moss Corner, a little lock of the rear brakes, absolutely massive slide for Jones. The good thing is, a big lead going at the time, and something that you don't see very often. A problem for Jesse Lazar, a mechanical issue on his McLaren Artura. He is off to the side. That would have championship implications. And then a big crash. Eddie Colleen there at the entry to turn 10. Big impact. He was checked and released from medical, but we would end under yellow. Jagger Jones took the checkered flag first, and in GSX, local Polito wins. So great run there for Jack Polito, but in post-race technical inspection, found to have too much camber in the 87, and so the win was taken away from Jagger Jones, handed to Stephen Agakani, and that's going to have huge championship implications. That's where we are now, Jeremy Shaw. Some drama in post-race yesterday. That, like I said, that's going to have big championship implications.
Well, it really does. I mean, Stephen Agakani was already leading the championship, but Jagger Jones, having skipped or not been available to drive in the first 2 races of the season at Daytona, with that what looked like being his 5th win in succession, that was going to bring him kind of almost within striking range, but the DQ put into the back of the field, and that has changed things dramatically. So it improves Stephen Agakani's chances even more of clinching this VP Racing Sports Car Challenge Championship. And in GSX, also championship implications there, because Jesse Lazar was getting really close to Luca Mars battle for that championship, but with that DNF yesterday, it cost him a lot of ground as well. So Luca Mars comes into this second weekend race with an enhanced championship lead of now 250 points.
Lights out on the pace car, but Jeremy, really quickly, the front row, Agakani and Jagger Jones outside. Exactly what we saw yesterday. Can Stephen Agakani race more aggressively now that he knows that Jagger Jones has been set that much farther back in the championship?
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment, because I think he can, because he's got a healthy championship lead now. It's well in control for him. He's got over 460 points is his championship advantage, so it's going to take a lot for Jagger Jones to get himself back into contention points-wise. And Agakani, he's not going to give up ground here. Jagger Jones will be absolutely flat out. He will have absolutely no corner given there. All he's interested in, Jagger Jones, is a win. That's it. End of story.
And for Jesse Lazar, he has his McLaren Artura back underneath him. He starts alongside yesterday's race winner, Jack Polito. And for Polito, like I said, an emotional win here. Local, green flag waves, racing at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. What did Agakani learn yesterday? What did Jagger Jones learned. Same deal through turn one, side by side, and the outcome looks like it may very well be the same. A little bumping, a little rubbing on the way to turn two.
Yeah, and Stephen Agakani tried to kind of squeeze down Jagger Jones to the left-hand side of the track. Jagger having absolutely nothing of that. As I said, nothing to lose here for Jagger Jones whatsoever. There's certainly more to lose for Stephen Agakani. He wants at least to finish the race. He would love to win it, but second place will do just fine in terms of his championship aspirations. But that was a great pass by Jagger Jones, and he comes away with the race lead.
Looking back into GSX, Jesse Lazar maintains position, started on pole, still in front. Right now, Jack Polito, and then you see that beautiful green and gold Mercedes. Here's a look at the start and the replay again, really aggressive from the exit of one down towards turn two.
Yeah, and Agakani tries to sort of squeeze him down there to the inside, to the left-hand side of the racetrack, going into the left-hander. The optimum line there is for Agakani to move across to the right-hand side to sweep into the left-hander, but he was trying to tighten the line for Jagger Jones to make it really, really difficult for him. And the contact between the two is Agakani came out worse, but it was kind of worth a try, I suppose, because Jagger Jones, he was already alongside him, so he had the preferred line, if you like, if not the actual the preferred position, but not the right line going into the second corner. But he's able to hold it off, and it's now Jagger Jones who leads from Stephen Agakani. Good battles there were there in GSX as well. Jesse Lazare looking to make up for that problem yesterday, but he runs really wide at the exit of corner two.
Yeah, the officials will look at that and look at this power move by the number 98. We talked about being a hometown hero, local. Jack Polito won the race yesterday. He's got that Mustang in position as they head toward turn four.
Yeah, that was a really bold move there by Jack Polito, the youngster there. Very impressive he has been this weekend. His debut in this championship, he's done a fair bit of, well, let's say club racing up in Canada. This is his first proper professional race, to be honest. Well, yesterday was, and he came away with a win. Yes, he was handed it after Lazare had a mechanical problem, but he had kept himself right with Jesse Lazare until the McLaren broke. So it was a well-earned victory. There certainly was no luck involved there for Jack Polito, and that was a nice bold pass there after the mistake by Jesse Lazare. So Jack Polito here looking to make it to 2 wins in a row here. He loves this racetrack because he lives only about a half an hour away in Lindsay, Ontario, and got a lot of experience here in all sorts of different cars. He started off his racing career actually in a Honda Prelude, but right now he had a lot of time in F1600 cars here with Brian Graham Racing, with whom Jack Polito's dad used to race many years ago.
Mustangs moving forward in a great battle here. It's back and forth between Luca Mars and the 59, the Core Motorsports Mustang, and right behind Josh Green, that Thays Racing AMG Mercedes, and they have switched back and forth a little bit. I think the problem for Luca Mars maybe in that hood up front. It looks like the latch on the right front is kind of given up, and that's going to be an issue down the straightaway, and it may not even raise its head on this lap, but the speed's so high here, it's going to continue to wear on that and weaken that hood. It wouldn't surprise me to see some type of a failure by the end of this event, but right now, Luca Mars hammered down. When you think about championships, he is in front in GSX. He leads it, and he extended his lead 250 points now over Jesse Lazare after Lazare's mechanical issues yesterday. So looks like the Mustang has good speed down the straightaway. Meanwhile, talk about good speed. Look at this. Jagger Jones up front, and he's doing what he did yesterday, Jeremy. He's checking out little bits at a time.
Yeah, he's in no mood to mess around, is he, Jagger Jones, having had that win taken away from him yesterday in post-race tech. But today, yeah, he's absolutely on a mission. And he's set the new fastest lap of the race there, which is quicker than the fastest lap from yesterday. So a new lap record already for Jagger Jones.
Well, and think about what's going through these two young men's mind. For Stephen Agakani, he's in the catbird seat for the championship. For Jagger Jones, it's all about impressing. I want to go out and impress those that are watching these events, the people in the paddock, the team owners, the sponsors, the manufacturers that are here. I want to put in stirring drives and be impressive. So two very different approaches to, I think, the rest of the season for these two young drivers. And one thing is for sure, Jagger Jones is certainly impressive.
He is. I mean, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's been around racing his entire life. His father, PJ Jones, of course, a successful racer. His granddad, Parnelli. I mean, look, he's got the racing genes, no doubt about it. He's driven just about everything through his career, has Jagger Jones, and he's using that broad experience to excellent effect here in the sports car. Just the first time he drove a sports car was the end of last year, and he's been absolutely stellar every time since then.
So on to the Andretti straight one more time, beginning to eke out that margin that he's leading with little bits at a time, about 0.2 of a second a lap, but it's just continuing to stretch. And for Stephen Agakani, impressive young man too, started very kind of early in life, I would say, as far as the race car side of things go, in his late teens, and has been really impressive. And for both of these young drivers, I think the maturity is what impresses me as much as the speed in the race car. Jagger Jones had that win taken away in Tech yesterday, and his answer to that was, you know what, you win as a team, you lose as a team, we'll rebound, we'll go back tomorrow, and I'll do my job, and we'll try to run at the front. No poor pitiful me, no look what the team did to me kind of thing. It was, hey, we win as a team, we lose as a team. And it takes a lot to say that, even for someone years beyond his age, that's for sure. And like I said, just an impressive young man, and certainly an impressive young race car driver, both of those guys up front.
I think you're absolutely right. And, I mean, Jagger knows, yes, he's a well-known family in the sport, but he certainly doesn't come from a massively wealthy background, and he has had to work hard for his opportunities. And this is a great opportunity that he's been given to drive this Fast MD by Remstar Duquesne. And he appreciates that so much. That's why he's never going to be talking the team down at all. He stands behind him, as you say, win as a team, lose as a team. That's exactly the right attitude for making more opportunities for himself as he forges his career forward.
A very familiar sight from the LMP3 category to GSX, and that is the lead being extended. And this time, another impressive young driver, Jack Polito. He really opened a lot of eyes when he showed up this weekend. You said it, Jeremy, a local driver. He knows this racetrack very well. And that always means something. You know the nuances of the track, but you have to then go out and race competitors that you're not accustomed to racing with. And he did a great job yesterday, fine job with Jesse Lazar today, and he's beginning to pull out a little bit at a time, about the same kind of deal, 1/4 of a second a lap, just beginning to stretch a little bit, and it leaves Lazar, Luca Mars, and Josh Green to do the battle amongst themselves, and he's checking out. Raindrops falling a little bit here, Jeremy. I don't think it's slicking the racetrack yet.
Well, we can certainly see the windshield wipers there on Jack Polito's Ford Mustang out in the front here. The weather, don't pan that camera too far to the right there, because that's where the weather's coming from. I think it's pretty ugly looking at the radar screen. But once again, a great drive for Jack Polito. Look, he's been around sports all his life, but not in karting, like so many youngsters these days. His formative competitive career was in snowmobiles, and particularly snow cross, which is basically motocross on snowmobiles, so big air and really brave stuff there. You learn bravery is not a problem for Jack Polito. 14-time champion as a youngster in that category, and when he moved into cars for the first time, initially with a little sedan car, but then in F1600, he was kind of a natural, and he's certainly showing that ability again here today at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
I guess snow is softer than dirt, right, Jeremy? So it's probably better than motocross, but, you look at that, and I think there are things to be learned from that. We've watched, people from different motorsports disciplines move into another, and anytime there's that sense of balance and control of a vehicle, whether it's 2 wheels, 4 wheels, around in circles on road courses or whatever, there are skills, there is experience there that translates. Right now, Jagger Jones already beginning to close down on the GSX leaders as you see him come into view there. That is how quick these LMP3 cars are. They're turning laps in the 1:14 second range, 1:14.73 seconds, and 1:17 that time for Jagger Jones. Perhaps the racetrack beginning to slick it up a little bit. It's a good, we'll call it at least 10 seconds a lap faster than the GSX cars were running. So it's going to happen pretty quickly. They're going to come around. And challenge right now, Jeremy, is the raindrops fall. It's going to be a different racetrack every time around this Canadian Tire Motorsport Park circuit. You just don't know what you're going to get. And to some extent, in conditions like this, running second's not so bad because you got the rabbit out in front to tell you what the racetrack is like.
That's right, yeah. If he slides wide, it gives you maybe, well, depending on the advantage he has, at least a second or so to figure it out a little bit. But it's really tricky right now. Lap time for the leader last time around was 1:17. His fastest lap of the race, 1:13.1. Okay, he had to work through a little bit of traffic on that last lap. That cost him a little bit of time, but it certainly shows you that the track is not as bone dry as it was when we started this race. So it's going to be a challenge here, but he's just romping away at the front of the field, as now is Jack Polito in GSX as well. This is a really impressive drive.
Full course caution
is out, probably because of the conditions, Brian. Everybody on slick tires. I mean, this is a super fast racetrack, isn't it? I mean, the average speed of these cars is immense. It's over, in qualifying, over 122 miles an hour average speed around this racetrack. If you're on slick tires, no grip at all when the rain comes down. So I think this is a smart call by race control.
Well, and there's a pretty good indication of why we're under full course caution. We are the white dot, and you can see the rain coming. It's coming at a pretty good pace, which is a good thing because hopefully he'll move through very quickly, but officials have decided to neutralize this right now. Wind beginning to pick up as that storm front gets here, and as long as it doesn't downpour, they may be able to even stay on slicks. Cars moving on the racetrack will kind of heat it up a little bit, Jeremy, and the wind of the car going by can help pull that water up off the track and perhaps dry it. We'll have to see just how damp it gets.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's think positive. As you say, they're pretty stout wind here, so that's going to blow, hopefully, the weather through even more swiftly. We can get back underway again. It's been a tremendous crowd here this weekend and seeing some fantastic racing, so it would certainly be a shame if we don't get to complete this one. But I think it's a good opportunity to do so, but I definitely think this is the right call. And even though it isn't raining hard yet, you don't want to wait until it's too late to make that decision. I think this makes perfect sense. Look, this is not the most of the drivers in this field are not seasoned professionals. There's very few of them you would put under that umbrella. So it's tricky enough around this racetrack, even when it's dry, and when the track is slick and you have slick tires with no tread on them whatsoever, it's just super dangerous. So apart from anything else, I think this is the right call just from safety reasons.
Brian Till, Jeremy Shaw with you, VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. And right now the challenge is the racetrack, and I'm not talking Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as far as the speeds and the difficulty, the nuances of this track goes. I'm talking about the moisture that's on it, because Mother Nature has checked in the first time this weekend and beginning to drop raindrops under full course caution. Have to wait and see how long this lasts. This front moving relatively quickly, but it does look like it has some heavier showers in it. And really the biggest concern on a system like this, Jeremy, is lightning, because obviously it's not only dangerous for the crews in pit lanes with radio antennas on top of their heads, but there's no hardier race fan around than a Canadian motorsport fan. But they have turned out in droves this weekend, but you don't want these great race fans sitting on the hill if we start to get lightning anywhere close to the area. So we'll have to monitor that very closely as well.
Yeah, and IMSA does a really good job of that. They have a weather warning system where they send out an automated text to everybody in the IMSA paddock. I'm sure you get that, I do as well. And there was one about half an hour ago saying that there was severe weather within 30 minutes of the racetrack. Not 30 minutes, 30 miles of the racetrack, excuse me. And I haven't seen another one since then, so that's good news. But there certainly is heavy showers around, and it's, if it blows through, now, great. Maybe we can get back to racing fairly soon. Otherwise, I think it's the right thing to do is to continue for a few laps now and see whether the rain comes. If the rain does come, then I'm sure they will red flag the race, come into pits, allow everybody to change onto wet weather tyres, and then if there's no lightning in the area, perhaps we can go back to green, because the race fans and the marshals, of course, are the primary focus right now for race control in terms of safety.
Absolutely, and you talk about the rain tires. Obviously, IMSA races in the rain. All of the series that run here, whether it was Michelin Pilot Challenge, Mazda MX-5, VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, all have Michelin rain tires, and it's not the conditions per se. I think in the VP Racing Fuel Sports Car Challenge, it really is, teams aren't set up to do pit stops. So it's a 45-minute sprint race. There are no pit stops, and to ask these teams and drivers to dive to pit lane, do a pit stop, change 4 tires, and then get back out as fast as you can, that's not realistic. So get control of the field with the safety car, as they have done. Wait and see what the conditions are. If it's determined that you need rain tires, bring them in, let everybody change under red, keep the order the same, and then you can go back out and perhaps get back to racing on those Michelin rain tires.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, even the crew guys are as competitive as the drivers almost. I'm sure they would love the opportunity to go head-to-head with the other teams and try and change the tyres faster. But as you say, that's not what this particular series is all about. So you have to, your safety has to come first. And it's kind of frustrating right now because it's still not properly wet, the racetrack. And here we are circulating behind the safety car when, you know, perhaps we don't need to at this stage, but that rain can come at any time, and if it does dump really hard, really quickly, then the track almost instantly will become completely undrivable.
Well, and that's the issue. Once again, you know, the teams aren't set up to do this kind of pit stop, so you want to kind of help save them from themselves kind of thing. When we do go back, it'll be interesting. Obviously, Jagger Jones has worked his way up and through, but we've got prototypes intermingled with GSX cars. That is the GSX leader just behind, so I don't know that you need to do any kind of a class split, or if you want to do one, it would be relatively easy because there are no lap cars between the 98 and the 87, so we'll have to just wait and see, and that's what the officials are doing. They're looking at the radar right now, they're looking at the racetrack. I'm sure they may even be asking some of the teams on pit lane, what's your driver saying about the racetrack right now? Is it raceable?
Yeah,
and it's what you were right, Jeremy. I mean, I see no spray from the car, so you may not want to really race on those Michelin tires, but again, on the rain tires, I should say, but again, you don't want to go, you know, stay out and then you need them, and now we're right back to square one. So I think officials are really kind of looking and saying, if we need to put them on, we're going to put them on everybody. We'll declare it as wet. We'll put them on everybody, and everybody's going to have to run on them. And why don't we just wait and see if we need them? So we'll just continue around under full course caution a little bit and determine whether it's actually a need or not. And if the track's raceable, we'll get back to that. Really, the number that you're looking for is 22.5 minutes, because you want to get to the halfway mark of a race. If it needed to be stopped and the weather got so bad and there was so much lightning in the area you couldn't restart it, if you get half of the race in, you'd go back and you'd score it to the last lap that they were out on the racetrack as the last completed lap under green, which was some time ago, but you'd go back to that and the race would be concluded. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's nice and clinically clean at the moment in terms of the fact that the overall leader, Jagger Jones, he put a lap on the best of the GSX cars right before the full course caution came out. So, you know, all the LMP2, LMP3 cars are on the same lap, and behind them, all the GSX cars are on the same lap as well. So there won't be any reset required. And look, if there's no thunder in the area, if there's no lightning in the area, and the rain isn't intensifying, I would hope that the officials might think of going back to green, but the question is there any lightning around?
Yeah, and it's, again, Jeremy, it's one of those things that sitting inside here, it's kind of hard. I wish I could run outside and see what the weather was like, but sitting inside, you can't really determine. And again, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, if you look at a map of this facility, it's kind of a long, elongated racetrack. It is not at all uncommon, kind of like at Road America or even Watkins Glen, for it to be raining on one end of the racetrack and not on the other. Still some pretty heavy showers, and one lightning bolt that's out there well to the west, but I'll just keep an eye on it. But like I said, it's not at all uncommon for it to be raining hard on one end of the racetrack and not at all on the other.
Yeah, it's kind of like Spa or the Nürburgring, nothing like as long as either of those tracks. But the weather does move. I mean, they got the lake is only 10 or 15 miles away, and that kind of lake effect always causes kind of weird weather patterns, if you like. And then the rolling hills up here, it's a tricky one and a really difficult decision for the race officials to make right now, no doubt about it. And but again, safety has to be the number one call.
Absolutely. And there's the Canadian Maple Leaf. I always talk about the fans when we come north of the border, and think about the great racing that we've seen in Canada over the decades, and fortunate enough to be a part of it in some of the great racetracks on the eastern side of the country of Canada. Never got a chance to run out west, but have run in Toronto, here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Trois-Rivières. Luca Mars diving to pit road. That's interesting, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why he would do that. I mean, I don't think he's... The only reason to come onto pit lane would be to change tyres, I would have thought, unless there's some other problem. And yeah, if
there you go.
If the race does go back to green and he's going to have lost all that track position, I think there must be some. Okay, that was the car that had the hood was loose, wasn't it?
You were about to say bonnet, weren't you?
I was.
You could take the boy out of England, but yeah, we saw that.
Look,
we saw that
costly.
earlier. So I mean, that's a lot of drag down the straightaway. And my belief was, if we continued for long periods of green flag racing at the speeds at which these GT4 cars are going down the back straight, I don't think the hood would have stayed on eventually.
Yeah, so I guess a call the team had to make, but that's certainly going to put into the back of the pack. And for the championship leader, that's not what he wants. I mean, if the race is called next time around, then he's going to get last place points. So if he just I would have stayed out at least until either the race is called or there's a red flag and you can change tyres and put some tape on there as well. One of the mechanics, you're not supposed to be working on the cars, but if a mechanic accidentally falls on the car with some tape on his arms at the same time, who's going to complain?
Well, and I think too, and I'm sure you look at that team and it is very experienced, that's for sure. And I'm sure that someone down there at Core Motorsports had a conversation with a race official and said, hey, what do we think here? Are we going to keep running? Because if we are, we're going to fix our car and drop to the back. If we're not, we're going to stay exactly where we are and keep driving around behind the safety car. So I'm sure they checked before they pulled the trigger on that decision. But like you said, if for some reason with inside 22 minutes to go, the race were to end now, that decision was a costly one.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't come back to bite the team, because he comes into this race, Luca Mars, with a 250-point advantage, but with Jesse Lazare in second position, that'll score him 320 points, and back in 10th place for Luca Mars is only 210. That's a 110-point swing right there, and that's what Lazare needs if he's going to be able to challenge for this championship. We've still got 4 races to go, of course, after this weekend. We go next to Virginia International Raceway, which is another classic racetrack, in next month, the end of August, and then the season will finish off at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in October.
Understand that the race has now been declared a wet race, and everyone will be coming in really not a bad decision, I don't think, on the series part. They bring everybody in, put tires on them. They know that the harder rain is coming. You and I talked about this, Jeremy. I don't think a rain tire would have survived at speed with the way the racetrack was, but the heavier part of this system is about to get here, and when it does, you know, this decision will be a good decision because everybody will be prepared for the heavier rain and the wet racetrack.
Yeah, and it's a level playing field for everybody that way as well. So I think this is definitely the right call, and I think it's going to be just kind of, you know, a non-competitive tyre change is exactly what is required right now. Just really unfortunate. I mean, after a great weekend of racing, it's a shame to sort of mess things around this way as we are right now. But I think, for me, this is absolutely the right decision that has been made. I think, you know, the conditions haven't worsened over the last 10 minutes, so that's the kind of frustrating, I think, part for everybody, for fans, for drivers, for teams. You know, it's probably raceable right now, but there was that threat of serious rain coming down, and then it just would have been absolutely diabolical and extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah, the officials in race control looking at that radar saying, hey, it's going to get worse. We're not going to go red. We're going to put reins on. We'll get back out there, and then we'll be prepared for the conditions that we have. So, again, you know, hats off to IMSA Race Control. They do this throughout all the series. They've got good people in place, and there's nothing wrong with taking a little pause to make sure that you're making not only the right decision, but in a timely manner, because had they made this decision earlier, you know, and gotten back out on the racetrack, even behind the safety car, lap after lap after lap on the softer rain tire could really degrade them. And when the rain did appear, you might not have all those nice soft Michelin blocks on that rain tire working for you.
Yeah. So the safety car has stopped at the kind of the end of the pit lane. These are not competitive stops, thankfully. But Jonathan Woolridge, where's the number 38 car? He was running in the sixth position, but he's shown as having not coming onto the pit lane. Oh, there he is. Okay, he is there. So a glitch on the scoring. Okay, fair enough.
Well, and it may be, I'm not sure where he is on pit lane. He may
he's
not
right behind his teammate.
Yeah. Is one of them tripped the beacon and the other one has not? And you can see in these shots of the cars in pit lane, the rain coming down harder now. And it looks like the timing of this tire change was spot on.
It does, and yeah, they'll give the teams plenty of time here to complete their changes, and then we'll go back going again, which is good. But the number 59 car, of course, is going to be rejoining at the back of the field now, having made that stop under the caution a couple of laps ago. He's going to fall to the back of the field, so he's not going to be able to regain that position. But Jack Polito in that number 98 car is a family-run car, small team. It's running out of the dealership, which is only half an hour or so away from the racetrack here, a Ford Mercury dealership, and the crew chief there, who's been part of this organisation for a long time, Bart Slott, has put together a really good car, brand new car obviously this year. He's done a couple of races in it in the FEL series, which is what used to be the Canadian Touring Car Championship. But still relatively new to this car, Jack Polito, but it certainly didn't look that way, the way he's driven it this weekend.
No, and you can see by these tire changes going on why they are not happening under green flag conditions out on, you know, and let the competitors come in and battle it out in the pit lane. As we said earlier, they're just not set up for this, so we'll get that done. How long is a qualifying session in VP Racing Sports Car Challenge?
Yeah, 15 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're closing down on that. It's going to take probably 3 to 5 minutes to get the field arranged back in order and behind the safety car. I'm thinking this is going to be about like a 8 or 10 minute sprint to the checkered flag, Jeremy. Oh, and by the way, in wet conditions on rain tires.
Yeah, at least they're on rain tires there, so it's a more level playing field for everybody. There's that split decision motorsports BMW being changed there. They'll get that car back going again, and running in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th position was Patrick Wilmot before the before this run onto pit lane.
And we saw windshield wipers earlier. I think now they're definitely necessary, Jeremy, and it's going to be interesting when we head back out, and I would imagine that they'll get a couple of laps behind the safety car to get an idea what the racetrack looks like, and if there's any standing water yet. I wouldn't expect that, but again, we said it earlier, with this rain coming down, I think some of the most difficult conditions that you can drive in is not heavy, consistent rain. It's right at the beginning of a track change when the weather comes in and the racetrack is changing every lap, or when it's drying at the end of that. So every lap with this weather that we've seen on radar anyway, the rain's going to continue to pick up, and it'll take a couple of laps for any small puddles to start forming and that kind of stuff. But that just means that the racetrack's going to change every lap for these drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be really tricky out there, and you say it's still not coming down particularly hard, but the safety car there moving at least into pit lane, and Jagger Jones being waved out there to take up position behind the pace car. He'll be the leader. I think what they'll probably do is reset the field here and put the prototypes ahead of the GSX cars. That certainly, again, would be another sensible move by race control. Let's see what's the next car coming down the pit lane. Nobody has yet. I guess nobody really wants to get going in these conditions. I don't know. Or maybe they are going to continue in the order they came into the pit lane. A little bit surprised by that, to be honest. But Jack Polito there is, for some reason, stopping. There he goes. So he is, looks like we're going to be restarting in the same order we came in. Okay. It's going to make things interesting at the restart, that's for sure.
I was getting ready to say they need to make sure the safety car stops at the end there, because it's going to take a few minutes. They can't get back around and go across the line again before they have the whole field out on the racetrack. That would really jumble things up as far as timing and scoring would go.
Yep. So he's moving away now. It's they've had plenty of time to change those tires.
And the rain really coming down, Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting, though, that camera angle from turn one looking back to the south, you could see heavy rain coming down in dark skies. This shot from turn two looking back to the north, you can see how much brighter the sky is there, and that's that weather system moving in from the west and southwest. So I've got to believe we're going to get more rain before this is over with. We don't have much time. Remember, just about 12 and a half minutes to go right now, and I'm thinking maybe 10 minutes, maybe even less than that, once the green flag comes back out, if it does, here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Yeah, fair comment. And it's certainly, we've been pretty lucky, I think, because it looked like it was going to get really, really ugly just a few minutes ago. But I've just refreshed my weather radar here, and it's just green. The yellow and the orange and the really nasty red, dark red stuff has gone away just in the nick of time. So I think we've dodged a fairly major storm there. It's just dissipated. I mean, just 5-10 miles from the racetrack, it sort of went away, and I think from now on we should be fine. So that's going to make things interesting, because if we don't have the rain that we're anticipating, these last couple of laps with rain tyres on a fairly dry track, yeah, that's going to be a challenge again for the drivers. There are all sorts of things, curveballs being thrown at everybody here this afternoon.
Yeah, they've got to get these cars moving. We know the order when they came in, and it looked like when we saw Jack Polito be released with the prototypes that they were going to put them right back in the order that they came in the pit lane. So yeah. I know it's kind of like herding cats for everybody down on pit lane.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's taken so long to get all those tires changed, to be quite honest with you. I mean, they had plenty of time, it seems like, and I think now that finally they're beginning to come out in dribs and drabs out of the pit lane, but that's kind of weird.
Not sure it was waiting on tire changes. It's just the communication, making sure that the team understands where their car goes in the order, so on and so forth. We see the 38 and the 18 sitting there waiting for direction as to where they should go. Jonathan Woolridge behind the wheel of the 38, and we talked about Woolridge being shown back at the back of the order. His pit was short of the line, the control line, so as they go past the control line in pit lane, And the dancing cars around, letting the 19 slip through.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, that scoring line must be right in the middle of where that team is parked, which is really unusual. I think you're absolutely right. That's a very curious one. But finally, we've got all these tyres changed, and now beginning to get back out on the racetrack. And of course, it's difficult for Performance Tech Motorsports. They've got 3 cars in this race. I think they're really, most of the teams here are single car operations. So certainly for Performance Tech, it'd be much more of a challenge to change all 3 cars during that brief stoppage. It wasn't even really a red flag, was it? We never saw the red on the scoring, but that's effectively what it was. But hopefully now we can do, let's just get everybody out there, do one more lap, and let's go racing and finish off this race. But time is ticking away, only 9 minutes and change at the moment, and still the pace car going very, very slowly. So I think we need to pick up the pace a bit here, boys and girls.
I think as the field begins to catch up, they'll probably pick up the pace on the safety car a little bit and get back around, and it's going to be a sprint to the finish, that is for sure. As cars beginning to catch back up to the rest of the field now, and you do want a little bit of temperature in those rain tires. You certainly don't want to overheat them, but you want that little bit of temperature in them. They work better when they're cooler. They're designed to run in very damp conditions, even through very shallow puddles, and you can see how wet the racetrack is. Now I see the spray coming off that Michelin rain tire, and that tells me this is the tire that you need right now. So again, I'll back up to 10 minutes ago. Good call by the officials to see that coming in and saying, hey, let's just control this. Right when it gets here, we'll go yellow, we'll let them come in, change tires, and when we bring them back out, they'll have the right tire on them, and then we can do a sprint to the end.
Yeah. And hopefully just one more lap here before we go back to green. That was a long lap last time, ran over 10 minutes. The cars were stationary for probably at least 8, which is way more than was really necessary. But again, I think probably the main reason for that was the fact that Performance Tech had to change tyres on all 3 of its cars, which is not the work of a moment, particularly when you're not set up for fast pit stops.
Well, and I will tell you, a little confused again as timing and scoring kind of resets as everybody gets across the line and all that. Woolridge went to the back again. Now he's back up to 6. So timing and scoring getting sorted out. When these cars come to pit lane and they go back out in a different order and all that, sometimes it has to be manually done and taken care of. Some of the cars higher up in the order may have been stopped short of the control line in their pit boxes, and others would have passed them on pit lane to get down to theirs and cross the control line. So it kind of jumbles everything up. Once they get back out on the racetrack and we get going, the order should get confirmed pretty well. Lights out on the safety car. Looks like we could be going green this time by.
Excellent. This is going to be fun then. We're going to have a bit over 5 minutes, and this is going to be a challenge for these guys out on the racetrack. Jagger Jones is going to be leading the way, and right behind him on the racetrack is going to be Jack Polito, who's got a couple of cars in between himself, at least one car in between himself and that battle that was going on behind him before this full course caution. Jesse Lazar in car number 21, the McLaren. Josh Green was right there as well in car number 78, the Mercedes. And of course, with that extra pit stop for number 59 car of Luca Mars, that has elevated Patrick Wilmot up into 4th position in that split decision Motorsports BMW. And behind him is the Bronze Cup leader in GSX, Scott Blind, in the bright yellow Ruckus Racing Aston Martin. And yesterday he moved.
Here we go, back to green, and really the question now is, Jeremy, who has been to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in the rain before? As you see Jack Polito in his Mustang outside, Aga Khani on the preferred dry line on the inside, but I'm not sure the dry line is where you want to be in the damp around here. A lot of times there's better grip on the outside where cars generally, it's easy for me to say, generally don't run. So this is going to be interesting. Who has experience here in the wet?
Yeah, Josh Green there making a move for, I think, for second position in GSX there, around Jesse Lazar in the McLaren. A little bit more circumspect heading into turn 3.
Jagger Jones with a big slide off the first apex of turn 5, and a problem for the 72, Frank Depew, around, and I think that's, where is that? Is that down towards turn 3? I believe it is. No harm, no foul. He's back underway. Jagger Jones checks out, and he is on it once again, just like he left in the dry conditions, showing that he can get it done in both the wet and the dry, right on the apexes, on the dry line through 8, 9, and 10. So right now, these first couple of laps, if you've not been here before, it's all about discovery. Off the apex there in 10, and I think that was intentional, trying to run that higher line, looking for grip, Jeremy.
Yeah, he's gone. He's absolutely checked out over Stephen Agakani, who's similarly a long, long way ahead of everybody else.
Oh, problem there for the 18. That's Minzen around, and a driver very new to motorsports in general, but especially to these prototypes. So around there, no harm, no foul once again, gets back going underway. And for Jordan Minzen, let's see how it happens. He's on the outside there after the car in front of him went off in 9. He just gets a little high and I think just gets out there on the slicker part of the racetrack. Jeremy, I'm not sure if he was back under throttle yet or not, and the car just, once it starts sliding here, they're really hard to arrest.
Yeah, that was he just got away from him there, as you suggest, Brian. Look, he's a guy with very, very little experience, and so he didn't hit anything. That's the good news. Didn't collect anybody else either, so he can continue now and get on his way. Jesse Lazar was able to get back up into second place in the McLaren on that lap, so Josh Green bumped back to third in that Thay's competition Mercedes.
Jagger Jones, Stephen Agakani, Brian Thenis, Alex Kirby, Ryan Finney. That's the top 5 in P3 right now. And then Jack Polito, Jesse Lazar, Josh Green, Patrick Wilmot, Scott Blinn, the top 5 in GSX. And as I said a moment ago, really discovery here. I'm watching various lines being driven. Everybody seems to be moving up now off of apexes, Jeremy, to a higher line through the middle of the corners. And that's where the grip is. In the dry, the prototypes around here actually make contact with the racetrack. It polishes it, literally polishes it. It's also where the fluid gets put down, and so you get oil on a polished surface, then you add moisture to it. You don't want to be on it. That's why we see these drivers off of the apexes, taking advantage of grip on a higher line. The other place you really don't want to be is on anything that's painted, and look at this. Mercedes, Josh Green really trying to have a run at Jesse Lazar. It's Mercedes versus McLaren through turn 3. Now the high-speed turn 4. Polito, he knows the line around this racetrack. Off the apex there in 4, a little bit off of it in 5. And 5 is a treacherous corner anyway, Jeremy, because the elevation change in the braking. But I would imagine in the wet, it's a real handful.
Yeah, a real handful. That Mercedes, though, certainly really seems to work well through turn 2 and 3. But Jesse Lazar's got the speed on the straight here. He's going to stretch out that advantage to get much closer to Jack Polito, who still leads the way in that car number 98, that Polito Racing Ford Mustang GT4.
I think it's the white flag. 1:24 is the lap time that was turned last time by Jagger Jones. It'll be less than that on the clock when he gets to the line, so white flag this time by for Jagger Jones and the rest of the field. Jones already down through turn 3, so he has not seen the white yet, so we'll see it this time when he comes by. And I mean, I'm impressed with all of these drivers, and I'll say it again, Stephen Agakani and Jagger Jones have been impressive up front, but for Jagger, a couple of races in the prototype last year, so he has probably about the same number of races in the LMP3 car as Stephen Agakani, because he missed the first 2 of this season. And Jagger Jones ran the last 2 of last year. So if you add them up in total, they probably have about the same amount of time in the car, and they both done a stellar job. Alex Kirby now up to 3rd.
That's exactly right, Brian. Coming to this weekend, they both had 6 starts, 4 wins for Jagger Jones, 2 for Stephen Agakani. Agakani got his 3rd win yesterday. It looks like Jagger Jones is going to make up for that disappointment yesterday, but here is this battle now in GSX, and Jesse Lazar has fought himself into the lead, and Josh Green is challenging Polito for 2nd.
Good stuff here as the white flag has been displayed, and the best way to recover from a bad day is to pick yourself up and get back at it. A bad day yesterday in tech for the number 87 and Jagger Jones when that victory was taken away from the Fast MD Racing with Rimstar team. Technical infraction, little mistake, set them back, took the win away, and how do you recover? You pick yourself back up and you go at it.
And look at this battle in GSX. They've changed positions again. It's Josh Green who's fought his way into the lead. Jack Polito trying to go around the outside of Jesse Lazar in turn 1.
Make a little contact, a little bump and run there by Lazar, and I thought Polito had this covered, but it was Josh Green that just really came alive on that last lap. And we said it, Jeremy, the racetrack's going to change every single lap. Some of these corners I see spray off at the tires, other places I don't, and that means you have very different grip around different places of the racetrack. I actually saw Jagger Jones trying to seek out moisture down the back straightaway, but it does not matter through turn 10. One more time, Fast MD Racing with Rimstar. Jagger Jones, retribution for yesterday. The checkered flag flies. He is the winner in race number 2 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge.
Yeah, tremendous drive by Jagger Jones, and absolutely perfect today. No mistakes. Well, there weren't any mistakes yesterday by the driver, at least. His battle coming up there in the last lap. It's just still Josh Green who has the edge for Thay's competition.
He doesn't just have the edge, Jeremy. I mean, he has pulled out and checked out. And for Josh Green, this is going to be a big, big victory if he can hold on through just 2 more corners. Bad day for Polito, it turns out. We'll have a look at that and see what happened, but I can see what happens right here. Josh Green sees the checkered flag, and he'll take the victory under some very, very tricky conditions. His first win in VP Racing Sports Car Challenge. And what happened here? Patrick Wilmot, it looks like up there. Is that Wilmot? No, that's the 12 of Michael Dayton. He's got damage. We've got a prototype involved as well. We had Jack Polito and his Mustang in the mix. See what happens, Jeremy.
Yeah, not quite sure, but it's certainly a tremendous drive there for Josh Green, and Polito and number 18 car of Jordan Menzen got together there, and poor old, ouch. That's the Michael Dayton in that Swish Motorsports BMW. He'd been leading the Bronze Cup points coming into this weekend, and that's going to be, well, a big hit, both literally and figuratively, unfortunately, for Michael Dayton there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Jordan Menzen with the slide, and that collected Polito, and then Dayton came in. How does the lead get changed? Look at this. Jagger Jones had just come, or one of the prototypes had just come through, kind of jumbled up the order a little bit, and Josh Green said, thank you very much, I'll take advantage of that, and really kind of used the prototype as a pick and used it to his advantage. Great heady drive by Josh Green, and he'll take the victory.
Excellent drive by Josh Green, really hard earned there for him. So two new winners this season in GSX. Jagger Jones has the overall win from Stephen Agakani, and Josh Green for the first time for Thay's competition, and that Mercedes number 78, Brian.
Yeah, looking through the unofficial results, Jagger Jones with the win. As I said, retribution for yesterday. Still has to clear tech today, obviously. Stephen Agakani, then a good drive by Alex Kirby. Josh Green, Jesse Lazar. They put on a clinic along with Jack Polito, but that spinning number 18 prototype of Jordan Menzen at the end, put the end of the day, spelled the end of the day, I should say, for Jack Polito. Wilmot ends up in 3rd, and, you know, hats off to the series for controlling the difficult conditions in the middle of it, and good decisions made there. Everybody gets the Michelin race the rain tire on, they go back out, they're able to race for the last several laps of this race and race for the win. That's the way you want to do it. You don't want to take it sitting in pit lane. So good job there, and Josh Green, impressive drive.
Indeed so, and in the championship points, Stephen Agakani still has a very handy lead, actually 500 points now over Brian Thienes, who moved up into second place position this weekend. He also leads the Bronze Cup category in LMP3, 2 Bronze Cup wins for that Forte Racing car number 77, finished fourth this afternoon. And Jagger Jones, with the win today, will move up finally into the third position in the points. He'll be exactly 600 points behind heading into the final 4 races of the season. In GSX, Luca Mars came in with a 250-point advantage over Jesse Lazar. That has been shortened considerably. Mars did move up to 5th on that final lap. He will have a total now of 2,410 points to the 2320 of Jesse Lazar, who finished in second position right behind Josh Green.
Another great VP Racing Sports Car Challenge event from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and really the season has been impressive in both P3 category and in GSX. It's multi-class sports car racing, just like we see in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, but in sprint format. It always brings excitement, and certainly anytime you come north to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, you get plenty of that. One of the most iconic tracks in all of North America. For Jeremy Shaw, I'm Brian Till. Thanks for joining us. VP Racing Sports Car Challenge, you'll see it all right here on the NBC family of networks for everyone at NBC Sports. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.